Okay, Jai Hind students, and welcome to a new lesson. And today the chapter in hand is yoga. And as you know, yoga is very vital and very important for us now in our modern lives. And it is a really big stress buster, and even our Prime Minister encourages everyone to inculcate and integrate it into our daily life schedule. So when is the best time to do yoga? Obviously first thing in the morning after you freshen up. If you do yoga, it will really be a panacea for your life, and it will improve your longevity. So let's start the lesson for today, and it's yoga. Okay, so yoga, what is the meaning and importance of yoga? And as you can see on the screen also, that yoga is derived from the Sanskrit word yuj, and it means the union of the individual consciousness or soul with the universal consciousness or spirit. Yoga also means to join and to integrate, and it is a 5,000-year old Indian body of knowledge. And this is what yoga means. According to the great sage Patanjali, in the system of Raja Yoga, he said that yoga is the blocking of mental modifications, chitta vritti, so that the seer re-identifies with the higher self. So yoga, it really is helpful in checking the impulses of the mind. And yoga improves the prana shakti in an individual, that is the life force, and it reduces the downward force apana, and it teaches us how to use the totality of our life force prana and to manipulate this to access the source of our being. So there are many different aspects and definitions of yoga which you can read for yourself also. And the main thing is that yoga is an important Indian knowledge which should be practiced and shared. Nowadays we will see that even more than the modern Indian, we see many Europeans have also adopted yoga, because it is a practice which not only a fit person or an adult of 18 years, but a baby till a very very old man or woman can do. So people in all age groups and all walks of life can practice yoga, and you don't need any kind of special equipments. All you need is the ground, a mat if you have one, and even if you don't have, you can do. And you can do it according to your own, because it not only helps you physically, but yoga will help you mentally also. Okay, so yoga has many such benefits. Let us see a few of them. First one is it enhances mental health, especially in people who are stressed, who are in depression, who are suffering from mood swings. Yoga will help to rebalance and help the endocrine glands to function properly, so that they can release the correct hormone. The hormones will be balanced, and the blood will flow throughout the body properly, and the nutrition and the waste will be carried from the blood towards the respective places, so that the circulatory system, the digestive system, the respiratory system are all working in a proper symbiotic manner. So yoga is really having 1,000 benefits, and really a person who practices yoga will rarely and will rarely get uh, any big kind of disease, because he will be physically fit, mentally healthy, and emotionally stable. So yoga will really, it is a mood booster also. It will make a person more happier and more cheerful. So that is what we all like, a pleasant personality. So this is what yoga does. The next important point is that yoga will also improve strength. Yes, uh, yoga improves the strength, the physical strength, because it is based on a kind of calisthenics, some calisthenic movements, some plyometrics. So whatever these Europeans say, all that is already integrated from yoga, and from there they divide it into bits and pieces and take it out into their respective uh, physical exercise forms. But the main root is yoga, because yoga is directly derived from nature and from the animal kingdom, and many different varieties of stories are there, beautiful stories are there between behind the formation of each asana, and it has a symbolic term, it has a symbolic meaning, a literal meaning, and it has a physical well-being also. So there is a beautiful story behind every asana. I wish I could tell each one of you, but I will try how much I can. Now, so the strength aspect also, it really improves the strength, because in the asanas like Bhujanga asana and all, your shoulder, your spine gets strengthened once you keep on doing that movement. Along with it, your hands also get the exercise, and the muscles also pump up. So uh, it improves the strength of your full body, not only your hands but your legs as well. Okay, there are asanas, especially the Padma asana, when you do, or when you do the Veerbhadra asana. These asanas will help your to improve and strengthen your spine as well. Next, it increases flexibility. Yes, that is everyone can understand that, and flexibility is key to supple and nimble movement and proper locomotion. To increase the flexibility means you will increase the range of your motion. So suppose you could only bend till here. So after daily practice of yoga, you will be able to bend fully, stretch properly to the side, stretch properly to the back. You won't be stiff. Some people, after doing a lot of gym, uh, which is also very good, they become very stiff. Or some people, those who don't move their body at all, they become very stiff, so much that they can't even move their neck properly. But with yoga, everything will be properly lubricated, and properly it will be moving 100%, and that is what we want. More motion, more locomotion, more flexibility, your life will increase. It is just like oiling your car, or oiling your engine, or oiling your thing. Without oil, that machinery will break down, and it will really have lot of problem. And without yoga, arthritis, gout, so many disease can take place. So better take the precaution, oil your body by doing proper yoga. Keep it nimble and flexible. Now, improves the cardiovascular system. Yes, the engine of our body is the heart, and yoga is the servicing that we do for our engine, the cardiovascular system. Yes, jogging is also a part of yoga. Jogging, slow jogging, running, and Surya Namaskar, okay, Bhastrika, and all the pranayams wherever there is a lot of heavy breathing exercises, yogic breathing. So all this will help your heart pump faster, and it will improve the efficiency of your heart, and this will help you prevent heart attacks, strokes, hypertension, because it really helps in oxygenating your entire body system. So the more the heart pumps, it will become stronger, and it will bring about a general well-being in your body. Next, prevent joint pain and arthritis. So yes, if you have done yoga, if you do it regularly, minimum 30 means about 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes to 1 hour, or minimum 20 minutes, so really you will not suffer from joint pain, arthritis, especially and gouts and many other diseases, because they will be well lubricated. They will The circulatory system will go there, all the lactic acids and the toxins will be detoxed, because yoga is also helps to detox. Okay. And it will loosen the joints, it will not make it stiff, so there is more comfort by doing yoga for all these kinds of diseases. Then it reduces respiratory problems, yes, and even your corona is also it attacks the lungs first, so it reduces the respiratory problems, because when you practice yoga, especially the pranayams, the lung capacity will really increase, because the lung is like a balloon, so your capacity of intaking oxygen, intaking the air will improve, and that is why it will become more efficient, it will work more properly, the lungs will start working more properly, the lungs will also become strong, and because of that, the passage will be clear. If the lung passage, if the windpipe is clear and working properly, you will suffer from no problem, your stamina will increase, and really you will have many benefits. You will have no because without proper oxygenation, the body will not get the energy or not get the vigor to work, especially athletes and students, and you will be tired just by climbing a couple of stairs, and you will be panting out of breath. That means you are suffering from some respiratory problems, so to improve that, yoga will be very beneficial. And next point is, it improves back pain. Yes, students, back pain and all this will be improved. I suppose yeah, you can see it also. Back pain will be improved, backache will be improved. Yoga helps in strengthening not only the muscular system but the skeletal system also, your spine also, and especially if you integrate it with panchakarma and yogic massage to the spines, it will help in proper alignment of the spine, and really that will really become a good support for the spine. So it cures backache, back pain, spondylitis, cervical spondylitis, and many other such kinds of diseases. Then for students especially, it improves the memory capacity. Yes, memory capacity will be improved because focus, concentration will increase. The brain will start working properly, because meditation has that effect. Uh, it improves the meditative state, and that also increases the memory power. Many of the top students, those who are memory champions, they practice meditation and yoga daily, and many scientific experiments and surveys have also proved that meditation really helps in improving the academic performance of children by leaps and bounds. So really students, that will be an added benefit for you. You will get health benefits plus memory benefits, so please make it into your daily habit. Next one is obesity. It helps to reduce obesity. Yes, it helps in breaking down fat cells. So if you are carrying a bit amount of fat, if you are above your BMI, if you are a bit overweight, so if you practice yoga daily for a bit long amount of time, then it will help you to lose that excess fat, because it will be burnt up by all the movements and all the yogic asanas that you do. So it will help you to be fit and healthy. Next one is anti-aging. Yes, uh, Regular practice of yoga has anti-aging benefits. It revitalizes the body and mind, makes you positive and stress-free, and gives a overall happiness and positive attitude towards life. So, by practicing yoga, it will help in reducing the diseases related to old age, such as dementia and forgetfulness. Okay, so anti-aging, it has an anti-aging effect as well. It will make the skin more healthy, and it also helps in reducing the graying of hair. Okay, so it and the a bit of the wrinkles will also be a bit less. So it has an anti-aging effect as well. So uh, even if you are not putting so many creams like some people do, yoga will really help in giving that youthful appearance. Um you can see Swami Baba Ramdev also, how he looks. Yeah, he's quite old, but still, because of daily practice of yoga, he looks very young. Next, it boosts the immune system. Yes, and even I have experienced it a little bit. If you do yoga daily, your immunity will be high, and because of that, your chance of getting the disease will be very less. It won't be nil, but it will be very less, because your body's naturally antibody and bacteria fighting cells will become stronger, and they will help you in fighting off the disease. So it will boost your immune system, and it will protect your body by stimulating the lymphatic system in your body, and lymphatic system will helps in killing the bacteria which are harmful for us. Next is, it controls anxiety. Yes, tension, depression, and all this, with mainly the mental thing. It helps in enhancing well-being, and it during sports competition and all, it gives a balance towards stress and anxiety. And pranayam especially is very helpful for controlling anxiety. Anxiety means sometimes we feel very worried, and we might have panic attacks, like, okay, I have an exam, I have a test, or some other thing. Yeah, maybe you failed or something. So in that case, people get a lot of tension and stress. So in such moments, if you resort to yoga, a bit of meditation, and you relax and you close your eyes and you practice long deep breathing, just 50 long deep inhales and long deep exhales, you will feel a little bit more relaxed. So just, you can do with me also now. Deep long breath in, deep long breath out. Just if you do 10 times, close your eyes and do it sincerely, you will just see the benefits now only. So in this manner, about 50 times you will do this, you will really come back to a meditative and very memory retentive state. Okay, now the next one is improves glandular functions. We have lot of glands in our body, from salivary glands, yeah, to endocrine glands, and they uh, they secrete hormones and enzymes which are beneficial for the working of our body. So yoga will help to stimulate and help to improve the functions of these glands. Okay, uh, the hypothalamus, okay, the pituitary gland. So all these will be working properly if you do yoga, and if they are working properly, proper growth hormone, proper leptins, proper ghrelins, all these different kinds of hormones will be secreted in the correct balance, which will help you maintain a healthy body and healthy mind. So, and also it will regulate diet. So some people have a habit of overeating. Even I am guilty of that sometimes. But proper practice of yoga will help you regulate your diet. You won't be feel that hungry, or you won't feel not hungry at all, because some people either they overeat, some either eat too less, which can again result in many things such as malnutrition and other types of ailments. So doing yoga will improve the efficiency of your digestive system. The food that you eat will be digested and assimilated properly. It doesn't matter that how much we eat, it matters what we eat, and is that digested properly, or am I getting the full nutritional value out of the food that I ate. So that can be ensured by doing yoga. If you don't do anything and you just eat, so whatever you eat will just be wasted, because your body will not get the nutrition from them, because it will not be functioning in an optimum state. So to make it functioning into an optimum state, you need to practice yoga, so that you don't get ailments such as constipation, indigestion, yeah, and many other problems. So what are the elements of yoga? Number one, yama. Yama. Yama deals with one's ethical standard and sense of integrity. Okay, and there are five yamas. Five yamas are there. Number one, ahimsa, non-violence. Yes, you won't see yogic people fighting that much. Satya, truthfulness. Honesty is the best policy. Asteya, non-stealing. Yogis don't resort to stealing. That is the yama. Brahmacharya, continence, self-control. Yes. Then aparigraha, neutralizing the desire to acquire and hold wealth. So these are the some of the rules and regulations. The golden rule practiced in yama, which is one of the elements of yoga. Okay, and it is a part of the ashtanga, the eightfold path of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. Okay, then the second part is niyama. Niyama is the second limb, and it deals with self discipline and spiritual observances. So the five niyamas are: 1. Socha, cleanliness, self purification. Do you take bath daily in the morning? Do you keep your oral hygiene well? Do you brush daily, two times a day, morning and at night before sleeping? Do you take bath before sleeping? So according to yoga, at least you should take bath twice a day, in the morning and at night before sleeping. And even oral hygiene is also equally important. You should brush your teeth, and if not, even better option is to take dant manjan powder. Have you seen that powder which you get, lal red powder, and put some mustard oil nicely. If you do, your gums will also be healthy and strong. So socha. Santosha, contentment. You should be a bit satisfied and not feel greedy every time by looking at others, and not feel jealous of others. So contentment, self satisfaction is important. Third, tapas, self discipline, spiritual discipline. Okay. Fourth is swadhyaya, study of sacred scriptures and oneself. So you have to study yourself also. You have to speak with yourself sometimes. You have to, because you have to self motivate also. Every time somebody won't be there to guide you, you have to guide yourself, and you have to know yourself properly. Fifth one is Ishwara Pranidhana, surrender to God. And at last, we must also have faith and belief in God, because that is the hope that will give us a positive attitude and a serene mind. Next one, third, asana. Asana, which we focus on more nowadays. and it is the third limb of yoga where we practice different asanas, body postures for physical and spiritual growth. Then we have pranayama, which forms the respiratory exercises in yoga. Puraka is inspiration of air, breathing in, Puraka. Kumbhaka means retention, holding the air, not releasing it. That is Kumbhaka. Third is Rechaka, expiring the air, breathing out the air, Rechaka. So these are the three main parts of pranayama: Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka. Okay, so by practicing this and by doing it in controlled and proper rhythm, we can really improve our life force. Second one is Pratyahara. Pratyahara means the withdrawal or sensory transcendence, where we will sever this link between mind and senses. And practice of this will allow us to observe our cravings and break our bad habits and form good habits for better inner growth. So this is Pratyahara, observing your actions, observing yourself properly. That will be Pratyahara. Next one is Dharana. This stage, in Dharana, we will deal with the distractions of the mind itself in the practice of concentration, which precedes meditation. The thinking process by concentrating on a singular mental object, a specific energetic center, an image of deity, or the silent repetition of sound. So, suppose you are doing Omkar, 10 times if you do Omkar. So every day if you do this during your yoga practice about 10 to 15 times, it will be a part of Dharana. Dharana is the type of meditation where we chant or we just focus and we meditate. We focus on between our eyebrows, or we do some mantra chanting, and that is also part of yoga. You can say the Gayatri mantra also, any type of prayer that you want, or any type of Sanskrit chanting or shloka, that will be part of Dharana. Next one is Dhyana, concentration. Meditation, contemplation and concentration may appear to be one and the same. Both feel that they are same, but there are minute differences. Whereas Dharana practices one pointed meditation. In Dharana there is one pointed attention. Dhyana is ultimately state of keenly aware with focus. Okay, it is almost same, but here more focus is also required. At this trend, mind has been quieted and stilled, and it produces few or no thoughts. So in dhyana we don't think much, we try to release ourselves from any kind of thought, and we just relax our mind so that it can focus. So even Buddha said the person who has overcome his mind is greater than the person who has conquered even the world. So it is important that you are able to conquer your mind, and dhyana, dharana and yoga will help you to really be in control of your mind. And if you have control of your mind, you can do anything that you want. You will have the immense willpower to do anything you want. So it helps to make your willpower very strong, and to choose and follow the correct path. Next one, last one is Samadhi. What is Samadhi? Samadhi describes eighth and final stage of Ashtanga Samadhi as a state of ecstasy. So after achieving all this, at last we get a reward. We get a reward. After doing some actions which are a bit tough and which are beneficial of our body, we get a reward. And the reward is Samadhi, a state of bliss, a state of ecstasy. And you will see many of our enlightened spiritual gurus and yogis in that meditative and ecstasy state, like our Swami Vivekananda, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and Baba Ramdev, Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, uh, our guru of, and many other gurus. They are, when they meditate, they, you will see them smiling and enjoying, and sometimes tears will also come running from their eyes, because they are experiencing samadhi, which is the reward for after doing all these things in the correct way. So if you want to know uh, that you are doing yoga properly, when you meditate, almost at the end of your meditation, you will feel a bit of samadhi, that is the mind and your body giving you congratulations and giving you a gift for doing something for it. So samadhi is a really beautiful and very jovial and happy experience by itself, because the body will itself be very happy and make you feel very positive. Now, introduction to some asanas, pranayamas, meditation and yogic kriyas. It might, okay, so let's do this. Asanas, as I told you, they are yogic postures, okay, and there are about three different types of asanas: meditative asanas, relaxative asanas, and cultural asanas. What are the meditative asanas? Meditative asanas are mainly asanas in which you can meditate. Five main meditative postures are there: Padmasana, the lotus posture; Siddhasana, or adept pose; Swastika asana, locked ankles pose; Sukha asana, easy pose, normally when how we sit; and the Vajra asana. And whenever you sit, if you sit in these asanas, especially for meditation or after eating your meal, you will feel a sense of well-being, and easily and comfortably you can practice your meditation for about 15 minutes. Next, relaxative asanas in which you can be at ease and you can relax. They are the Savasana, corpse pose. Some of us sleep in this pose. Makrasana, where you uh, where you sleep on the bed or on the floor face forward, okay, on your belly. Then Garbhasana, child's pose, where you are hunched like a child, like a like a fetus, okay. So these are the three types of relaxative asanas. Next we have cultural asanas. Cultural asanas are also very important, and there are about 84 important cultural asanas, and they are also divided into 7 groups. First one is the dynamic sequences, like Surya Namaskar, sun salutation, which most of you know, and you can check out one of my videos uh, where you can learn Surya Namaskar, or you can revise it how to do. Second one is inverted postures. Inverted postures are there, like the handstands, Sirsasan, or the Sarvangasana. Then we have forward bending asanas, Paschimuttana asana, and Pada Hasta Asana, bending forward. These asanas are there. Then backward bending postures are there, like Cobra, Bhujang Asana, Locust, Bow poses, Chara Asana, Shujaga Asana. So all these asanas are backward bending. Then there are twisting asanas, twisting, such as Ardha Matsyendra Asana. Okay. Then there are side bending postures. Trikona Asana is the example. And then there are standing asanas like Vriksha Asana. Okay, Vriksha Asana, standing on one leg. So these are the cultural asanas. Based on your position, 7 types of asanas. Now, for today, that much, students. I will be covering some of it in the next video. So thank you for watching. Please practice yoga daily, and if you have any doubts and any questions for me, you can comment below. I will be happy to help you out regarding your query. So stay fit, everyone. Jai Hind.